Mondays are now Matter Days. What's up, everybody? Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank member FDIC, our wonderful partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. I'm Matt Swanson, and I am absolutely delighted to be with two fellow Matts, Matty Lane, Matt Hamilton. Hamilton! Great to see you, my friend. How are we?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back with you guys. I missed these Matter days. As you said, now Mondays are going to be Matter days, so could not be more excited. Switching it up a little bit this year, getting more of those, I guess, instant reactions off those Chiefs games. Really excited to be back here with you guys. I missed you.
Listen, everyone needs a little pick-me-up on a Monday, so why not make it a Matter Day? Listen, Matts, we had a good run all summer. There wasn't a Matt Swanson, and now we're back, and so we have to battle through adversity. The season starts today. We have a long, grueling few months to deal with this, but that's okay. We'll come out stronger on the other side.
This is the most inviting culture when it comes to puns and bits and jokes because, Matt Swanson's here, and he is just unapologetic with all of it. So I
got a question for you, Matt Swanson. Is Kent Swanson apologetic for puns?
That's a good question. I feel like Kent's been slipping lately. That's what I think. I think the puns have been fewer and farther between from old Kent Swanson. That's my opinion, but I can't get into that guy's head, and I don't think anybody wants to be in that guy's head. But Hamilton, how's the offseason been for you? How's it treated you? Have you had a good summer?
I did. Not the most restful off season. We've been doing a lot. Another training camp tour with Up and Adams, which was a lot of fun, and gearing up for the high school season now with New Rochelle High School in New York, where I'm the quarterbacks coach, and feeling pretty good about this year. After a rough year last year, so yeah, it's been a busy off season, but it's been good.
Other question: how do you feel about because it feels like Up and Adams was kind of a character within this whole Micah Parsons saga, right? You guys spent a lot of time talking to some people out in Green Bay. It seemed like you guys were a little bit in the loop on all this. How was that whole experience?
That was really interesting. We are going to get into it a little bit tomorrow on the show because a Packers fan, decided to. He said after we did the show at Packers camp, which was 2 weeks ago, and this all seemed like it was still a pipe dream with Micah going there. He said after Kay kind of pressed the issue with LaFleur a little bit about making a trade for Micah Parsons, he said that if it did happen, that he would get a Kay Adams tattoo, and that has in fact happened. So we're going to dig into that a little bit tomorrow morning, but there is a human being out there with a Kay Adams wearing a cheese head tattoo.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Wait, that's right up there with Ryan Day potentially getting his nipple pierced after winning a national title.
Right up there. Yeah.
It's right up there. Those two things are neck and neck.
And what's going to happen to Vrabel if the Patriots ever win a Super Bowl?
Okay, wait a second. That one he can take the cake.
The one thing we know that nipple ring isn't for is beating Michigan. So there is that.
That's why it wasn't a ring. It was just a bar.
Thanks everyone hanging out with us tonight, though. We do appreciate you. We're absolutely excited to have Matter Days back for the entirety of the season. It's going to be a lot of fun, as it always is. And so, hey, we haven't got a chance to talk to you for a while, and we thought we just kind of give the floor a little bit to you today, right? Like, we've had a chance to talk about all kinds of things. We've ranked positions on gas station scales. We have gone 100%
accurate gas station scales.
We've done the top 10 of all these different positions, players in the National Football League at different positions. We've had a lot of fun, but the floor is yours, man. Like, because a lot's happened since we last talked to you, but we figured we'd get some Hammy's takes flying right off the rip. Just catch us up where your mind's been over the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, from a Chiefs perspective, since we've been off, it's been interesting. We've gotten to through Up and Adams, gotten to talk to a bunch of Chiefs players. Got to go out. Kay got to go out there to camp in Kansas City. Got to interview Mahomes a couple times, and it's just I don't get the typical vibe that I get from teams that lost a Super Bowl, to be honest. I think if anything, this team seems more refreshed rather than hungover. There's a fire lit under this group off of what happened last year. And I mean, we've seen this from Patrick in the past, how he takes and uses some of the things people are saying about him or not saying about him as motivation. And I think he's absolutely in that mode right now. I think as a team, they are. I thought it was interesting when we talked to Trent McDuffie, how he said the Super Bowl literally has not been mentioned amongst that team since they've been back. It's very much they're very much moving forward and gearing up towards this thing. And I believe it. I think some teams it's like kind of lip service, whatever. Like you feel the energy with that group when you talk to these guys. And beyond just that aspect of it, or the offseason as a whole, I'm excited about where this group is. I know it's crazy when you talk about a team that won 15 games last year that they could be better at certain things, but I do think there are areas where this team has gotten a lot better. I think their receiving core is one of them when Rasheed is back on the field, and everybody's healthy there. I really like what they've done with this group of receivers. I think this is going to be a much more explosive offense than we've seen over the past 2 years. And I'm excited to see what this new left side of the offensive line looks like, because I was impressed in the preseason with what Josh Simmons and Kingsley had to show over there, especially Kingsley as it built, throughout the preseason. I thought he got stronger and stronger there. So I am very excited for this Chiefs season. I know they took a couple hits defensively. We're going to talk about what's going on up front a little later in the show, but I'm really excited about this Chiefs team this year.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that kind of stands out to me there is like in the more media we hear from the Chiefs, whether it's interviews, they have, this whole documentary thing going out right now. It does seem like there was a pressure of trying to three-peat. It wasn't just this is for fun. This is something we hope to do, but it's not a big deal. Like it did really feel like that weighed on this team more than we on the outside, especially as like just fans, I think we're picking up on. So when we talk about how this team's playing all these close games and all these things aren't going the right way, it's just watching some of the stuff and listening to people talk about it. It really does sound like they entered that year with this very specific goal. Anything short was going to be failure. And I think that's their mindset every year. Not winning the Super Bowl is a failure, but they just seemed hyper fixated on it. And it seemed like it wound them up. It was dragging them down a little bit. And it does seem like there is a little bit more freedom this year, a little bit more fun. And football's probably a little bit more fun in the middle, of August when you're not getting hit by an opponent all the time and everything like that, I'm sure. However, it does seem like the leading into the season, they are in higher spirits. And it does sound like anybody that's been out there to camp has kind of come away with the same thing, is they just don't seem quite as tight. Like it doesn't seem like it's this force. This is business only going forward. And I do think that's going to be a big thing going forward, because you lose a random game in September or you play a tight game versus an inferior team in November. It doesn't have to mean anything this year if you're not letting it. And it felt like last year, everything that possibly went wrong weighed on them throughout the entire season.
I could not agree more. Actually, I wrote an article for KCSN's Chiefs newsletter. It's going to release Wednesday or Thursday. But one of the things I talk about in it is like the weight and the gravity of this last season, this run at a three-peat. Like I think you could feel it, and like you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it Sunday to Sunday. Like you could see some things that were giving you pause, but this team kept winning football games. They only needed 16 games to actually achieve the 1 seed. They got that last week off. And by the way, they went to the Super Bowl with a guard at tackle, and they got all the way to the Super Bowl. And then everything it just kind of, the tidal wave of, it just hit. right? It just hit like this just tidal wave, right? It just came immediately. And I don't know, like I think fans felt it a little bit too, right? Like I think there was like a pressure, and like not that the player like fans have to deal with the the game pressure or anything like that, but I think the gravity of all of it, I think, was in the back of the minds of fans too watching this game. It was different watching last season, I think, right? Because especially coming off a season where, like, okay, Donovan Smith's playing left tackle and the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl despite having no receivers and no left tackle. And they just won the game. And so it was like a little bit of like, does any of this even matter? Does any of this even matter? The Chiefs are 15-1, ho hum. I'm playing left tackle. Doesn't matter. Like, and just kind of like didn't catch up to them at all until the Super Bowl. It finally caught up to them at the end. You didn't even see it catch up to them until the final game. And so I think like the entirety of last season was just different for everyone, fans and players. There was just a different vibe, energy, weight, and how we consumed the game as fans, I think, was different. And I said in the article, like I'm so excited for this season. I'm so excited to watch this season and this version of the Kansas City Chiefs, because like that version of pressure is gone, but it's still a really good football team that won 15 of their first 16 games. And oh, by the way, they fixed the left tackle spot and Patrick Mahomes is angry. And I don't think we've appreciated or recognized or understood what that means, because we're on the heels of this bizarre season where the Chiefs are chasing immortality and we're all just along for the ride and don't know what to do with ourselves.
Yeah, and it did stick out to me too. That was one of the first questions that Kay asked Patrick. Sorry to keep going back to it, but it really stuck out to me when she asked what the key to the season is going to be, and without hesitation, the first thing that he said is it's going to be having fun again. And like you said, Maddie, it seems to be a theme that's really come up a lot with this group throughout training camp, and I think it really does matter. There's a looseness to this team that just wasn't there last year. And again, it's crazy that we're talking like this with the team that won 15 games and went to the Super Bowl, but we went through this journey together last year every single week talking about this team, and it didn't feel quite like some of the past years. It did feel tight. It did feel like every single thing was a grind. And it feels like it's going to be different this year. It feels like there's going to be a little bit more explosiveness from this group. It feels like there's going to be a little bit more looseness from this group, that they are going to blow some teams out, which we didn't really see last year. So, I'm really excited. I think they're refreshed. I'm refreshed. I'm ready to see this thing happen.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's where we are going into the year, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if vibes or anything changes after. I mean, they got a game later this week coming up from Brazil on Friday. We'll see as we progress through there. I think it's going to be like completely one. The Chiefs team has been the same for a while now, right? Like a lot of the same characters are back. A lot of like the same backbone of this team is there. So there's going to be so many similarities, but I do agree that like there was a different feel to watching this team play last year than even in 2023. Whereas 2023, it felt like they were piecing stuff together, but it didn't feel like it was the same kind of slog that it was last year across the board. And obviously in other years in the past, it was fresher. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is just three people here speculating on the mentality of a team that we have like no actual insight into, but I do think it shows up. And I think we're going to come out of the first couple weeks of this year and be like, oh, this team is a little bit fresher. They're ready to go. They're having a little bit more fun. And hopefully that equates to, a little bit more fun play style on the offensive side of the ball. And we'll see where that goes.
Well, and I think that was that's like 1, 2 possessions, 3 possessions that we got of the Chiefs offense in the final preseason game. It was enjoyable. It was fun to watch. Everything felt good. Vibes were high, and it felt a while since we had high offense, right? And like that was really fun to like kind of witness. And like I think that was just like a little bit of hope and a little bit of excitement and buzz. It's like they're gonna push the ball down the field a little bit more this year. Like I mean, they spent some time talking about that with you over at Up and Adams as well.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like I was watching a Patrick Mahomes Chiefs offense again. It was, Mahomes running around, extending plays, making plays down the field, tossing up some deep balls. It it felt good to see again, and I would expect that to carry over into the season.
I think it will too, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun out at Arrowhead Stadium this year. And I'm calling all Chiefs fans. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for this official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
Appreciate everyone hanging out with us on a Matter Day. Had a little bit of news today. Something that was a little bit surprising. Mike Pennel signed to the Bengals practice squad. Not in Kansas City, not with the Chiefs, with a rival, trying to really stick it to him. Signs with the Bengals practice squad. Hamilton, what were your thoughts first off when Mike Pennel was released?
I mean, I was kind of shocked to see it, given the state of that interior defensive line right now. I think it's still a big question mark. I would have thought they would have liked to keep the depth there, somebody that they know, works in this defense, is a dependable player has been a dependable player for this defense in years past. So yeah, I was really surprised to see it, and that's the one area of this team. I think they've strengthened a lot of areas. It's the one area of this team where I'm still a little nervous right now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit. The Chiefs waiving Pennel was cutting, I guess, Pennel was one of the bigger surprises, I think, that came from cutdown day. But there was always in the back of your mind of okay, they do this with vets a lot. They're not going to go through waivers. You kind of come in with a little bit of a handshake agreement. Hey, you're coming back to our team, whether it's as soon as we have to cut somebody, as soon as we put somebody on IR, whatever it may be, you protect a younger player that might go through the waivers process and then bring back your veteran later. Well, Pennel didn't seem to take kindly to the whole process, whatever it was. He immediately was kind of hey, I don't know if I feel good about this. I went and lived in St. Joe for a couple months, and I went through your entire camp, and then you decided to cut me for whatever the reason may be. So maybe the Chiefs did have interest in trying to bring him back. Maybe they didn't. We don't know for certain about that. All we know now is the nose tackle that they chose to pay essentially a vet minimum contract to earlier this year is now off the team. And the nose tackle who not only played less snaps down the stretch than Mike Pennel, but that they chose not to pay essentially a vet minimum contract to, they traded for, and he is now back on the team. So it's a very interesting process to get here, especially because it's not like they have a ton of young, run-stopping defensive tackles on this roster. They drafted a pass rusher in Omar Norman-Lott. They signed Jerry Tillery, who's, again, more of a pass rusher. So it's not like they are deep at this position and they could afford to let a 34-year-old guy that had been their best run-stopping defensive tackle, heck, one of their best run-defending players on the team the past 2 seasons. It's not like they could afford to let him walk because they wanted to get young guys snaps. They don't really have someone that fits into that role immediately. So it's a very odd process going through this whole thing.
Yeah, and I think we got to figure out where to go from here, right? Like, what do you think the Chiefs' approach is at the defensive tackle position right now? So you've got Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Jerry Tillery, and Omar Norman Lott. That is your interior defensive line. That's it. That's the list. What do you think the Chiefs do from here? Are they going to try to dip into the practice squad a little bit to try to bolster the interior there with a Broderick Martin or a Zach Pickens? Marlon Tuipulotu still on this roster as well. 3 basically nose type players along the interior there. What do you think the move is, Hamilton? What do you think this team's going to try to do with the nose tackle, defensive tackle position?
I honestly don't know. I mean, we're a few days away from game day, so I don't feel like there's too much they can do at this point as it pertains to week 1 and how they're going to start this season. I think the room is, they have what they have right now, and we're going to see how it plays out over these first couple of weeks, and then maybe they make a move from there. But again, I mean, I think the hope when you invest what they invested in Omar and Norman Lott, that he comes along and shows you something. I'm not, not super enthused with his game so far based on what I've seen. But yeah, I think that this is what they have right now to work with, and we're going to see how these first couple of weeks go. And I think they're going to be, have their eyes peeled on what's going on other practice squads and what's going on other, waivers with other teams. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what other options they have at this point. Again, at least as it pertains to week 1 and what we're going to see in Brazil on Friday night.
Yeah, I think theoretically their thought process is, hey, our offense is going to be better this year. We'll get out to a lead, and then we want pass rushers on the field. Again, if that's your entire line of thinking, it makes sense, but you still got to stop the run at some point in time, right? Like at some point in time early in the game before you get up, when it's still competitive, when you have a team trying to sit on the ball, you are going to have to stop the run. And maybe Mike Pennel has completely fallen off a cliff, and they saw him in camp and through all their preseason games, and he was completely washed, and they needed something else to come in here, and they decided he wasn't the guy. That's fine. I can buy the logic. I just don't see how you go back to you trade for a guy that you chose to let walk, who had been significantly, maybe not significantly, but noticeably inferior to Pennel on your exact team in the exact same role in Derek Nottie the past few seasons. I don't get the process to get back to him as being your replacement if Pennel was no longer as good as you thought he was before. So it's just it's weird how they get there. I assume they're going to let Derek Nottie be their starting nose tackle. They did bulk up Omar Norman Lott. I think they are going to try to run him out there a little more frequently next to Chris Jones once he's healthy and see if that works. If not, they'll have to dip into the practice squad or a free agent pool. But what really confounds me about this is Spags' defense doesn't operate without being able to stop the run. This defense, they don't have, besides Chris Jones, there's not one-on-one guys that win one-on-one. You can't just go out there and be like, oh, okay, it's 3rd and 3. We have a bunch of guys that are going to go win these one-on-one reps on a dual read play. It's 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 5. We don't have a bunch of Chris Jones that can play the run and the pass at the same time. You actively need to get into passing situations so you can move Chris Jones around, so you can set up these mismatches for a Karlaftis and Omenihu, so Spags can get exotic with his coverage disguises and his blitzes. That's all predicated on stopping the run first. That's why they have all these big oversized defensive ends. That's why having somebody like Mike Pennel these past 2 years did matter. They need to get into 2nd and 3rd and long in order for Spags to be at his best, which is the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. That doesn't work. We saw it. Everybody goes back to that Tampa Bay Super Bowl and they focus on the Chiefs offensive line. Guess what? The Bucs were never going to get out of 12 or 21 personnel and keep the Chiefs in base defense and live in 3rd and 3s because the Chiefs couldn't stop them. And when you do that, Spags' play sheet gets shrunken down a ton and he becomes a lot, not predictable. It's not where he's at his best. So I get a little worried about what the run defense is going to look like. Not just because of one player, but I do think that Pennel had like a bigger impact on the run defense overall than I think fans are thinking, and assuming Derek Nottie can do the same thing because he just hasn't been as good the past 2 years.
Yeah, and this is going to be a major test out of the gates too with that, because whatever else you want to say about what's going on with the Chargers offensive line, they are going to commit to the run. We know what Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh want to do. They're going to pound the Chiefs up front as much as they can and run the crap out of the ball. So we're going to get a real taste early on what this run defense is going to look like, and if they can hold up against a team that is going to really stay committed to the run.
I'm fascinated to see how this goes, right? Like, I do wonder a little bit. Like, we watched Mike Pennell. Like, in retrospect, everything makes a little bit of sense in that the Chiefs actively traded for Derek Nottie, right? They went out of their way on a presumed cut, a player that was going to get cut, right? Did they see some writing on the wall with Pennell, right? Like, because Pennell didn't look great during the preseason. I know we kind of speculate, you know what? We've seen him play a million times. We know what this is just a 34-year-old vet, going through training camp, not worried about it. He didn't look good. Did they actively go trade for Derek Nottie just to make sure that they were securing, somebody that they were familiar with, that they trusted enough, and that looked on tape during the preseason like he was, going to hold up okay? These are just like little questions I have, like about the, because like he looked older. He looked a little bit older. He was struggling a little bit during the preseason. So it's something to at least kind of keep in the back of the head, right? Like just kind of keep in the back of the head is maybe they didn't feel as good about Pennell, and maybe they felt like they needed somebody else here because they didn't feel as confident in what they were getting out of Pennell. And then now, the scenario goes down the way it does. I don't know. Just kind of a little bit of speculation there. We are going to take one more break, and we will be back right after this.
What's good, everyone? It is KCSN betting analyst Benny Heiss. Something hit me as I was driving to the Missouri side, ironically, for something not available on the Kansas side. I cross over. I just can't get over how long sports fans in the state of Missouri have been waiting. It feels like forever. Good news is you don't have to wait much longer, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is finally coming to the Show Me State. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I got to wait on the sidelines until December 1st, it's not true. You can sign up right now. And when we go live, new Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets just for placing a $5 bet. $5. That's not even as much as a pumpkin spice latte that's going to take over. So it's not some ragtag sports, but this is DraftKings. You got live in-game betting. So if your team starts hot, you could jump in mid-play. There's lightning fast payouts. None of that wait 3 days for your money nonsense. And you've got more ways to get in on the action. There's no better way to start. It's all from your phone. When we go live, you'll be betting with a sportsbook trusted by millions, safe, secure, fast withdrawals, everything you want. Well, except maybe a guarantee that your team will cover the spread, but that part's still on you. So here's the move. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code KCSN, and when we go live December 1st, that $5 bet turns into $300 in bonus bets. That is code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they are issued. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
I love Labor Day because it kind of just takes you through all the way into Monday, and just all of a sudden the NFL season's just sneaking up on you, right? Like, we're like 3 days out from the start of the season for the National Football League, and then like the Chiefs are playing in 4 days. It's insane. Like, I'm so glad that like this little weekend just kind of keeps you busy and keeps you preoccupied, and then reminds you, oh yeah, by the way, here comes the NFL. And like we got good college football this weekend. It was a lot of fun. It was a good weekend. But before the season starts, we only got a little bit of time before the season starts. thought we'd throw out some predictions here. Get some predictions going here on the NFL. And I'll just be full disclosure. I'm not going to reveal my playoff predictions today because I picked every single game. I predicted every single game of the 2025 NFL season. I did it in an article that we'll be posting on KC Sports Network this week before the season starts. So it has a lot of my like playoff teams and records and all that kind of stuff. So I picked every single game of the 2025 season. So you can check that out on KC Sports Network's Substack. So make sure you're subscribing to that. By the way, you can get $40 in tacos for a $30 subscription at Tacos for Life. I was actually there today. I had some Tacos for Life today for lunch, and it was absolutely delicious. So yeah, you get $40 gift card to Tacos for Life with the subscription to KCSN's Chiefs newsletter. All right, but let's get into some predictions here. Tucker, can you lay the ground? We have some graphics here. You laying the groundwork? Can you lay some groundwork here for us? What we got here?
Absolutely. So the way that I have it laid out, I've got playoff teams from Matt Hamilton and Matt Lane. It goes by division winners. So each of the conferences division winners, and then I have the wild card teams from each of them. So each person will have 4 separate graphics. I can flip a coin to see who goes first, unless you guys want to argue about it right now.
I think you should put Hamilton first.
All right, Hamilton. Here's your first bunch of teams.
All right, let's do it. AFC division winners.
Wow.
The Ravens winning the North.
Crazy.
I know that schedule is tough, but yeah, I know. I really went out on a limb there. Sorry, guys. In the East, couldn't have anybody unseat the Buffalo Bills there. I don't think. I think the Patriots have gotten better. Nobody's taken out Buffalo yet. I do have the Jaguars winning the South. I think they're going to take a huge step forward this year under Liam Cohen. That Texans offensive line is a disaster. As much as I love that defense, I think that offense takes a big step back. I don't know who's running the football consistently for them either. So I have the Jaguars taking that thing. And then this is actually a very controversial pick, apparently. I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning the AFC West.
What?
And apparently I'm, after hearing from everybody that we had on Up and Adams during our prediction week, that's a hot take, apparently. So Chiefs winning the West for the 10th straight year.
Before I get into those, I said, and I teased before we even started the show, that like I had a take about you that I wanted to get off, and I didn't do it. I kind of got absent-minded.
I was wondering what happened there.
I just got reminded of it.
I was hoping you forgot.
No. But that picture reminded me. Hamilton, I think we're seeing a little bit more salt and pepper, buddy.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
It's taken over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's looking good, man. I like it. No, here's the thing. I've graded very early. I saw a picture of me from the back of my head at a wedding 2 weeks ago, and I was stunned at how much is back there. I like it. I think it looks good, man. I'm a big fan of the salt and pepper. I got the salt and pepper. I think it looks fantastic. I think you should rock it, and I think you should be proud of it. But that picture just reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah, that picture from like 2 years ago, you can really see the difference.
I think you're a little bit saltier from the beginning of the summer. That's what struck me a little bit. Although, anyways,
yeah,
the Jaguars are the one that's kind of interesting to me there.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Liam Cohen a lot, and I think like they've definitely got a lot of different weapons out there. That would be a monumental success for the Jacksonville Jaguars to be able to turn that thing around so quickly. Like, I do think that they're going to be better. I think they're going to be a little bit saltier in 2025. I don't know if I'm ready to go all in on the Jags, but if there's one division that can happen, I think it is the AFC South. Like, that is the division that would make the most sense for something like that to happen. So like, I don't think it's like too far of a stretch for me. It's just that would just be such a monumental success for that team so quickly.
Yeah,
Are
no, it
we
would be. It's definitely taken wanted to take a little bit of a swing since I'm going with some safe picks of the other places,
I like
but
it.
I do think we see a big step forward from them this year, and honestly, too, like the player that doesn't get talked about enough is Trayvon Walker, because they've been so bad over the last 2 years. Like his progress has gone completely under the radar, and back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. He's such a versatile player up front, can play pretty much anywhere on the line. I'm excited for them to get better so we can talk about him a little bit more because that was such a controversial number one overall pick. And not that I want to give Trent Baalke any credit, but he's panning out pretty damn well. I know Aiden Hutchinson is phenomenal too, and the others, but Trayvon has been awesome for them over these last 2 years.
Are we going with my division winners next? Or are we going into Hamilton's wild cards?
No, you could do. So the way I have it is both of you guys division winners, and then you get into wild cards after that. So we can go, Maddie.
Okay.
We can go your division winners, your AFC.
Let's
winners
throw that
now.
up. Yeah, let's throw that up now. So that way we can have the whole the AFC South thing. Because I have the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, then the Kansas City Chiefs. But the only difference here is I went the Houston Texans over the Jags. Listen, I think the AFC was pretty chalky to predict, but it's kind of hard to go against it when you have the three best players in all of the sport are quarterbacking three teams in different divisions. It makes it kind of easy to pick those. And the reason I went with the Texans over the Jags is I think I know what I'm getting with the Texans defense. I feel very confident that they are going to be one of the top three in the NFL. I don't know what I'm getting from anything in the Jags. Their offensive line scares me. I am very on the fence about Trevor Lawrence. I've always thought he's been a little too robotic as a quarterback for today's day and age. And the more he's played, the more I believe that. So, maybe he can change it this year with Liam Cohen, who I do think is amazing, but you're going from a great offensive line with the Bucs to whatever they have in Jacksonville. And that does scare me a little bit. So I did stay pretty chalky and just going with the Texans there, but it's because I think there's a real chance they have the second or the best defense in all the NFL. And I think that's worthy of regular wins. I honestly didn't even flip flop on any of the other three. The other three were like, yeah, boom, Sharpie right down the board. I would be absolutely stunned without injuries, knock on wood, for all those teams if they were really in like a legitimate race to win the division come, the final 2 to 3 weeks of the year.
I think I'm in the same boat for the most part without getting too spoilers. I think this is an easy place for me to spoil a little bit. I'm pretty chalked with the AFC right now. And I think that I'm going the Texans with those three. Those three are they've kind of ascended beyond divisional conversations to let's figure out which one of these, like how they're stacking in the playoffs, right? Which one of these is the one seed and which one of these is going to have to travel
the more intriguing race
playoffs. Yeah. Like that seems to be the most intriguing race, at least for the last few years. I stuck with the Texans too, when I was going through my exercise as well. When it all kind of shook out, but hey man, I'm not going to hate too hard on the Jags swing either. I think those are the two teams I will say. And I actually think it's going to be weird. I think the South might not cannibalize itself, but maybe eat into the Texans a little bit while not necessarily being super into the playoff conversation. But I think I think the Titans could steal a game from the Texans. I think the Jags could steal a game from the Texans. The Colts will play them twice. I think they could. I think a couple of those South games are gonna. I think there's gonna be some spicy South games, even though I think the Texans ascend when it's all.
I wouldn't sleep on the. I know that Daniel Jones and all that, but the Colts have played them tough each of the last 2 years too. All those games have been absolute battles, and there's a lot of talent on that team outside of the quarterback position. So I wouldn't sleep on those either.
Yeah, we'll see. They're fun. All right, I think we're going NFC. We're going NFC division winners. I think I got mine coming up here next. Boom. NFC North, Green Bay Packers. That might be a little spicy. We'll talk about it maybe. The East, the Philadelphia Eagles, not as spicy. The NFC South, we got the Atlanta Falcons coming in with Michael Penix stepping in as a starting quarterback. A little bit of belief. And then back to tried and true. It's every other season. San Francisco 49ers are allowed to be good again this year, so they will win the NFC West. Get a nice high draft pick. Now they can play good again, so now they're back to winning. So a little bit more up and down with this one, right? I think the NFC, if you want to take more swings, you can go that route. The NFC North is a hard one to pick, but I do think Micah Parsons going to Green Bay. Hopefully he's healthy at some point in time. Definitely tip the scales for them. Spoiler, I'll talk about it in a little bit. Like, I was already pretty high on the Packers though before this trade. I'd even text these guys the other day. I'm like, man, this trade's at a terrible time for me because I want to say how much I like the Packers, but now it's going to be like it's entirely because of the Parsons trade when I had this thought all off season. Like, the NFC North was a tricky one to pick, I think. And then outside that, it was just kind of like, yeah, which South team is going to, not like just fumble around this year? And I don't know, all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I'll launch into mine because I had some similarities and some big differences here. I also have the Packers winning the NFC North, and just like you, I was leaning in that direction before this trade even happened. It kind of cemented it for me, but I just think with a healthy Jordan Love all year, this is going to be a little bit different. I think everything that I heard up there too, Jeff Hafley's throwing some new wrinkles in defensively. Like, they expect that defense to be better even before the Parsons deal. So excited about the Packers this year, but that division is tough. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I think any of those 4 teams can win it, but I like what the Packers have going chalk with the NFC East. I think the Eagles become the first back-to-back NFC East champions in 20 years. I am sticking with the Bucs in the South. I do like this Bucs team a lot. I think when you look at last year, they dealt with a ton of injuries. They still won that division handily. When they had Antoine Winfield and Mike Evans on the playing in games together, it only happened 6 times last year. They were 5-1. They were 10-4 when Mike Evans is out there on the field. I think they still take that division, and I do have the Rams winning the West, assuming Matthew Stafford's back doesn't explode. With everything going on with the Niners and all of their injury issues already, it scares me. I want to pick the Niners. I can't get there with them right now. With what's gone on with that defense and everything going on with the injuries. So assuming Matthew Stafford is healthy, I do think the Rams win that division this year.
So a couple of things. Detroit, I think we're like, everyone's freaking out about the loss of the coordinators, which I'm not trying to diminish, but the talent might be better than what the talent is better than what they rolled out at the end of the 2024 season in the playoffs, right? Like, their defense is upgraded. You're going to get Aiden Hutchinson back. You got DJ Reed. I don't know. I think there's a little Lions fatigue there that I think we need to keep an eye on. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Oh, you got something?
I was going to say the big concern for me with the line, the coordinator changes are tough, are going to be tough. I mean, look at the guys in that building. They love Calvin Shepard and his energy, and he sounds like a madman, and they're all on board. And also a genius. Every player we talk to there talks about his intelligence. They absolutely love him. But on the offensive side of the ball, I know you guys have your moments with Ben Johnson, or you get a little tired of all the love that he gets. But Ben Johnson was a phenomenal offensive coordinator. I know John Morton was in the building with him a few years ago. He comes from that Sean Payton tree. There's belief in him too, but it is, we've seen it in the past where losing your offensive coordinator, an offensive coordinator that's that good, can really sandbag a team. And I do have concerns there. And again, it's not that I think the Lions are going to be bad. We'll get to them again in a little bit, but I just think it was close to begin with. So I give the edge to the Packers with the continuity that they have, and with some of the things they're able to do this offseason and beef up that roster a little bit.
And similarly for me, and we can go real quick because we are going to talk Lions later, but a theme for me, and I'll talk about the Rams later, the Lions later. Offensive lines protecting for quarterbacks who I don't know if they want to deal with bad offensive line play is scared me away from some division winners. I mean, I talked about it with Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Stafford's got a bad back, and the Rams offensive line might not be great. I don't know if that's a great combination for a veteran quarterback. So I just, a whole long season behind that entire offensive line. Like, we saw what Stafford, how difficult it was for him to move in the playoffs last year once that back was acting up and that offensive line couldn't block. Granted, it was the Philadelphia Eagles, but like, you could functionally see Stafford could not move whatsoever in that game.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous. And then, like, same thing with the Lions, some offensive line changeover, some guys retiring. You also lose your offensive coordinator, and we've all seen Jared Goff when the protection around him isn't great. So like, that's one of my biggest, I don't want to say like, things are just scaring me away from some teams right now. So we can go to Hamilton's wild card teams next, but that is, yeah.
I have 2 questions for you. I get to interrupt.
Sure.
I get to interrupt you sometimes. This is fun.
It's not asking.
Of all the NFC, of all the
Anyway,
NFC,
wild card teams.
of all the NFC divisions, which one do you think I had the best aggregate record?
The West. I think North is easy, obvious answer to say, but I think the West is what you went with.
I'm going to say the North, even though it's obvious.
I went the West.
Okay.
I think,
Nice.
and I think the schedules
Easy schedule.
the schedules play out easier for the NFC West to have a lot of teams. I think that's a pretty competitive, because I think the worst team, the Seahawks and the Cardinals being the worst, one of the Seahawks or the Cardinals being the worst team in your division's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit of a Seahawks hater, believe it or not, when I was doing this. So I think the NFC West gets
the preseason.
The other question for you, gentlemen, of the ASC 1 seed and the NFC 1 seed, which team has more wins in the regular season, AFC or NFC?
Ooh.
That's the top. I'm going to say AFC.
Okay.
But I will say the NFC, going through this exercise and the NFC is so much deeper this year than it's been over the past 2 years. I think that the level of competition there is definitely rising. Because remember, there was that narrative a couple of years ago. Oh, the NFC is so freaking weak, and the AFC is a juggernaut. Like it's starting to balance out a little bit again.
What do you say, Maddie?
I'm gonna go AFC as well. I one day want to see, but I'm gonna go AFC because the Ravens and the Bills really, really care about the regular season wins. Like they do. And I say it kind of backhandedly, but also at the same time, not really. They really do care about these regular season wins. They don't like to just coast. They don't like to just get by any given week. They want to put up 50 every single week. So I think it's going to be really hard for none of those best teams in the AFC. One of them's coming away with 14, I think, wins. It's just because they care. The Bills and the Ravens care too much. The Chiefs have just been too good at closing out games. So someone's going to get that high.
Yeah, and they care so much because they don't want to have to go into Arrowhead in January, even though it doesn't always matter. But
I think it's the AFC, and I think the AFC's top heavy with three, super top heavy, maybe the three best teams in football, and then the NFC. I think
on the verge of extending the show by an extra 20 minutes. Is the AFC top heavy, or their best teams just so good because of the quarterback play we think they are? Are the wild card teams we are about to say actually that much worse in the AFC than the NFC? I'm just asking you. Or do we just perceive it that way because Jackson, Allen, and Mahomes are so much better? Let's
see where you guys land on that, because that is a good question. I will just say, I think the NFC is going to be a bloodbath this year. Just across the board. I'll tell you what, I'll give you one hint. The NFC 1 seed, I think it's either 12 or 13 wins. It might be 12.
I think that's fair.
And I think it's an absolute bloodbath out over there. Some feisty mid cards.
I think it's just that hard to have a ton of conviction when you don't have that MVP level quarterback when you're predicting records. Right. I think that's what it is. You just can't have the Eagles. Obviously, last year did a great job in the regular season. So did the Lions. But it's just really hard to say, oh no, I think this team is going to beat or win the majority of their tough games when you don't have that quarterback play as the backbone of it. So it's hard to have the conviction.
All right, let's see these wild card teams, Hammy.
All right. So we'll go with my AFC wildcard teams first.
Yeah.
I have 3 teams coming out of the AFC West again, the Broncos and Chargers, both snagging wildcard spots, and then the Bengals getting in there as well. I do think we see a bounce back from Cincy this year. I think that offense is going to be an absolute monster to deal with as it was last year. I think the defense is even just incrementally better than it was a year ago. That's a playoff team. This one, I got to say, the NFC wildcard, which we'll get to, was harder for me. This one was a little easy. The only thing I wrestled with a little bit was do I leave the Texans out entirely? But the way I look at it, if the Jags win that division, they're not going to be a 12-win division winner. It's probably going to be a 10-win team. So if they win 10, that means another AFC South team is probably not getting in. So those are my 3. Maddie, what do you have?
The Texans not making it all together is a little surprising, but I'm with you. I don't know if the South can get 2 teams into the AFC playoff picture, but that's just It's okay. My wild card
Ariante
team-
Urster is the starting left tackle for the Houston Texans. We'll see.
Yeah, that's
KC
something.
baby.
Yeah.
And who's the starting right tackle for the Chargers? All right, my AFC wildcard teams.
Trey
We do got.
Pipkins.
I was say Trey Pipkins.
Pipkins,
Yeah.
yep.
So
Yeah.
all right, my AFC wildcard teams. We got some crossover here. I have the Denver Broncos. It's my only
Ooh.
crossover. I thought I had one more, but that's right. I switched. I
Wow.
forgot. I snuck in the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, got to take your swing somewhere. Too much chalk going on at the top of the AFC. We had to get some surprises in here. I'll fall for it. I'm going to buy in. I'm buying in on the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre trajectory here. We go to another team. We tried to get ourselves the Vikings if we're Rodgers. Didn't work. Had to settle for the AFC version of the Vikings just because it's cold. Nothing else is in common with those two teams. He goes to the Steelers. I'm going to buy in that defense is good enough and Rodgers can steer that ship well enough that they can get into a wild card spot. I am them also going to have the Miami Dolphins beating out the Cincinnati Frog Girls for the final spot out of principle. I will never, ever put the Frog Girls into anything for victory. As long as Tua stays healthy, they make it over the Frog Girls, who will once again have the NFL's worst defense. And I think that it's really hard to have that good of an offense back-to-back years. You have really good offense. I think it's really hard to have that good of an offense 2 years in a row when everyone's trying to slow it down. So I could see the offense taking a marginal step back and the defense being just as poor.
So you know what Bengals fans would say to that, right? You just keeping them out because you're scared of them.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah.
Terrified of that 2021 last year of victory or whatever it is.
Hamilton, we forgot to update you on something very important. We did a dynasty league. We did a startup dynasty league this year. Me and Maddie and some friends. Guess who my quarterback is?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he's riding with you now. You two are on the side. You two are on the island.
Gentlemen,
right.
Real quick before we go. I have one team in my playoff picture that neither of you do. Can you guess it?
Can we get a AFC side or NFC side?
AFC
side.
And
I'm
neither
talking
one
about
of us. Neither one of you have said them.
You're digging pretty low.
It's the Patriots.
Oh God, no! See, we're going back to my offensive line theory right now. No chance.
Vrabel baby. Vrabel baby.
I respect it. I just see that. Yeah, I don't know. As somebody that was high on their defense, yeah, we can do the NFC.
Yeah,
Bolt. That'll be a fun one. NFC wildcard. I think we're going mine next. Tucker said we were snaking around. So we got my NFC wildcard picture. We got the Washington Commanders, the Detroit Lions, the Los Angeles Rams. My wildcard teams on the NFC side, very chalk. Not the AFC side. Commanders were just there last year, right? They go to the championship game. I do think they'll regress a little bit. Like I said, it's when you have a not necessarily new, but like a pop-up, really impressive one side of the ball, like on offense in particular, teams try to slow you down. And I do think teams will have a better answer for what the Commanders are doing with Daniels and on those fourth downs where they were converting at a ridiculous clip. Don't think the defense got a lot better. So I could see them taking a step back, but I still think they're good enough for the wild card. I talked about my concerns over the Rams and Lions already a little bit. Just their offensive line scare me with two quarterbacks who I don't think they like to be pressured. Like Stafford is great when he's kept clean as he's gotten older. He's not a young guy anymore, right? Like when you look at him, when he gets pressured a lot, specifically from like, four-man pressures or without teams having to blitz, his play does drop pretty severely compared to earlier in his career. So I just am a little more cautious that they can go a full 17 games, win their division, but they're going to be good enough. The high-end talent for the Lions and the Rams is too hard for me to keep entirely out of the playoffs, and I just couldn't put in another NFC West team as much as I did want to sneak the Cardinals in.
I know that was the tough part for me too. It was between the Niners and Cardinals. For me trying to sneak one of those teams in, I do think the Cardinals are going to be a lot better this year. But it's so saying the depth of the NFC, it's going to be really hard this year. So I'll move right to my NFC wildcard teams while we're here. Tuck, there we go.
Yeah.
I also have the Lions and Commanders for the same reasons you said. I'm going with the Bears. I'm putting the Bears in there. I do think we see a big jump from them this year under Ben Johnson. I think Caleb, I know it's just preseason and whatever. I think just already you're seeing just such a difference in him and his confidence, his timing. in this offense. There is so much talent there. They rebuilt that offensive line. I know that division is going to be an absolute gauntlet and absolutely brutal, and that may end up being what keeps them out. But I think the team is going to be so much better this year, and I'm rolling with them. I think they find a way to sneak in.
I want to believe in the Bears, and I really hope that they're awesome. I think it'll be kind of fun.
No.
Going through the exercise, they were tricky for me. Like they're right on the line there for me when I was going through the exercise of predicting all the games. And like you see, like a couple key, couple marquee wins, couple breaks here or there. Maybe you go up against, maybe you just flat out beat a couple good teams. Like, yeah, you're right there in the mix. I like the Bears. I'm just kind of a little bit of like in a holding pattern with them, but I'm gonna be like it'll take me like 2 weeks to be like all in on them, right? Like I'll be pretty hyped about it if it works out, because I think that would be a fun kind of thing to happen over there. And I'm rooting for Ryan Poles. I did have one team that's not on either of your playoff pictures. Can you guess it?
You said you were harsh on the Seahawks, so it's not them.
It's gonna be either the Cardinals or the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Vikings.
I was a generational hitter on the Vikings last year, guys. I was so bad. I think I had them going 4-13.
Yeah.
I picked them, and they were 10 games above my expectations last year. It's not the Vikings. I like the Cardinals. I like the Cardinals. They're sneaky. Jonathan Gannon's been doing some work there, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of talent, and he's made more with less with that group in the past, and now they got more talent. Like, they're spicy. Yeah. They're spicy. They're spicy. But so is that all we have? Is that all we have for that, Tuck?
No. There is more. We got championship games and Super Bowl predictions coming up.
Well, no, Maddie, you're the only one that did that. So you can just talk about. I didn't make graphics for that.
Well,
Hamilton just gave me teams, so I just did the teams graphic. You guys could talk about it. I can
throw out a Super Bowl. I can throw out a Super Bowl prediction.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll go first here. I got my championship. I didn't want to do all the playoffs and like have to figure out an actual bracket. That was way too much work for me. So hopefully this is even possible without having to do seedings. I believe. Well, now I gotta remember what I have in the NFC. I have the Packers overcoming the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, and in the AFC, I have the Chiefs, I think, overcoming the Bills is what I went with. Maybe Tucker can even yell at me if I'm wrong. I feel like it was the Bills.
It was Chiefs Bills.
Yeah. Yeah, Chiefs over Bills, Packers over Eagles. Don't quite get the direct rematch, but then we got the Chiefs beating the Packers, getting that revenge from like 50 some years ago now. Got to get that on the book. So I got Chiefs over the Packers in the Super Bowl. I have all your same characters in there. I was contemplating going Packers in the Super Bowl before the Micah trade. I really was. It was in the back of my brain. We ranked a lot of positions all summer, and I had so many Packers coming in the top 10 or just outside my top 10. I was like, I guess I kind of like this team as we go through it. And then I think about their coordinators. I like what Hafley's doing. I like what LaFleur's got going on the offensive side when his receivers are healthy. I think I had to give it to him. Then you put in the best defensive player in the NFL goes to your team. That's got to help as well. So yeah, give me Chiefs over Packers.
Maddie, who are the 1 seeds?
Ravens and Eagles.
Ravens and Eagles.
Oh, so the Ravens get the 1 seed and don't even make it to the AFC title game.
Of course, they lose to the Chiefs at home in the divisional round. Again, like they do. Like destiny is made for Lamar in the Ravens.
Your math ain't mathin'. Are the Chiefs the 4 seed?
Sure.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. I told you I didn't do a bracket. I just wanted to say the Chiefs go in there and beat them again. Let me do a bit, Kent.
Okay.
Not all of us picked 272 games, Ken.
Yeah, like I don't have a bracket. I'm just ripping off the brain here, and I'm just trying to make jokes as we go. I didn't think I was going to have to get up on the stand and raise my hand and be like, I swear. Come on, relax. Hamilton, who do you have in the Super Bowl?
All right, so I'm going a little outside the box here. I do have the Chiefs. I do have the Chiefs going. I'm going with the Buccaneers out of the NFC. I think this is one of these years where, as you said, I think a lot of those teams in the NFC are pretty close. A lot of it is going to probably come down to health come playoff time, but I like what the Bucs have going on right now, and I feel like nobody's talking about them. And the vibe down there was very like they weren't shying away from Super Bowl talk. Like they have a lot of guys who have been there before, as we know, a lot of guys who have done it before. And I think they're geared up to make another run right now. They know this window with Mike Evans and Levante David is not going to be open that much longer. As I said, they had a ton of health issues last year, still ran away with the South. I think if they're able to stay healthy this year, I think that team can cause a lot of damage in the NFC this year. So I have a Chiefs-Bucks Super Bowl rematch with the Chiefs coming out on top this time.
Let's go, another revenge game.
Well, I don't think you guys are going to have a hard time figuring out who I'm going to predicting to win the Super Bowl this year.
Joe Burrow, obviously.
But
it's like one to win you in the fantasy league.
But the rest of that article is going to be very interesting. So check it out on KCSN. Make sure you're subscribing beforehand. That was the first Matter Day of the season.
Let's go.
Oh, it felt so good. It felt so good to be back. That is going to do it for all of us today. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
Math ain't mathing.